Reading on Kindle versus reading physical books. Which one is better or which gives you a better experience? I think this is a never ending debate in the world of readers, right? So today I'm going to be adding my perspective to this debate. So let's get started. Hey folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Praveen Ramesh, and on this channel I summarize non-fiction books and I also speak about lessons that I'm personally learning by reading these non-fiction books. I find it immensely useful. I hope you do too. So as I said at the start of the video, today we are going to be speaking about which is a better experience or which gives you a overall better experience when it comes to reading. Is it reading through Kindle or is it reading these physical books, right? So, and you know what, there is never a right answer. So if you're here looking for that one right answer, I'm gonna tell it to you straight away that there is no right answer to this question. But here is what we are gonna do, right? So I kind of considered a lot of factors, the factors that I could rank, each of these mediums of reading were innumerable. So I kind of condensed it down and created a framework called the ABPF framework. What is it? So I've ranked them based on aesthetics and buying, the purpose of reading, and the functionality it provides. So we are going to go through each of the modes of reading, the Kindle and the physical books, for these three factors, and then see where does it lead us, right? So the first one, aesthetics, right? So aesthetics, how do I look at aesthetics? It's about how it looks for someone who is just passing by, or how do you feel when you're reading a book through a Kindle or a physical book, right? Personally, for me, I've been in situations at cafes or parks, or when I've been traveling on trains and metros, I've stuck random conversations with people whenever I've read a physical book, right? So let's say I'm reading a book and there might be an onlooker who might say, hey, I've read this book, you know what? Funnily, there was this one incident at the airport where I struck a 45-minute conversation with my fellow passenger. So aesthetically, I feel, physical books adds a lot more, right? Let's talk about the Kindle, right? Aesthetically, yes, it does look good. It's a very sleek device and you could carry multiple books, especially if you're someone who's traveling a lot. So imagine, right, carrying these 4 books. And imagine just carrying this, which has like around 30-40 books already that I've got this year. So, aesthetically, yes, I mean, convenience-wise, Kindle gives you a lot more that, physical books would hands down lose. But aesthetically, I feel, there is something nice about having colors and, holding a physical book, having bookmarks, writing down stuff. Maybe a bit old school, but I like the feel of having physical books. So, aesthetically for me, I love physical books, though I love the convenience that a Kindle offers. So aesthetically, this round I would say is kind of one each for both Kindle and physical books. The second aspect, as I told, is buying, right? So I mean, this would be like point 2 in the major point 1, sorry, point 1A maybe. So yeah, the buying aspect, right? So hands down for me here, Kindle wins, right? So I'll tell you why. Though I like certain aspects of buying physical books as well. So let's talk about buying on Kindle, right? So there are 2 ways that I personally buy. One is ordering through the web browser here, and the other one is through ordering through the Amazon website. What do I love about this, right? So let's say I see a YouTube recommendation or a friend recommends a book. I just go to the browser, I download it on Kindle, and it's almost instantaneously I have access to this book. So I can just start reading if my motivation is high, right? So if you're someone like me who depends on the energy or the instantaneous, let's say the dopamine high to get started with a book, Kindle is a great device and it provides you with an incredible experience on that front. Switch that to physical books, right? You see let's take the same scenario. You see a recommendation, a friend recommends you a book. You have to go to the Amazon website or any website for that matter, order the book and probably wait for a day or 2 to come, right? So for all that, personally for me, sometimes the excitement dies down, but I still feel at times for books that I really need, that I keep going back, I love waiting for those books. There are a lot of such books. Maybe I'm just picking the one that's on top, but there are a lot of these books that I really love waiting for. And I'm like just checking once in a while to see, hey, is the physical book coming? But I love the convenience of, having the book instantly for myself and then, start reading immediately. So hands down on the buying aspect, Kindle really wins. And one more thing, at least from the place where I come, most of the books on the physical front tend to be like at least 2 or 3x more expensive as opposed to the one on Kindle. So if you're someone who's very cost conscious, I would say Kindle is your go-to device. So, we've considered like 2 factors now. Aesthetics, where I feel, having these color, taking notes and then writing on stuff, Kindle physical books win. the convenience of buying, the convenience of carrying multiple books, and then affordability factor, Kindle wins hands down for me. So that's A and B done. Let's move on to the purpose of reading, right? So here is how I think about, what could be the various purpose of why you read, right? So I'm going to be looking into my notes because there are 4 factors that I have listed out, right? One is, escapism. You read for escapism because, you're reading things that, just to kind of wind you down or, de-stress you, right? You read to widen your learning, right? It's not like you want to get deep into a lot of things. Personally, for me, I'm reading a lot about psychology, or at least I'm trying to, widen my learning into psychology and not go deep into it. Third one is deep learning, right? So I'm reading a lot of books around productivity, health and, wellness and stuff like that. And the fourth one is reference and research, right? So depending on your purpose of reading, each of the physical book or Kindle could be better, right? So that's my purpose of reading. So let's say you're reading for relaxation or escapism. Personally, for me, it really doesn't matter because I have a lot of books that I keep going back to, and I have them both on my Kindle and my physical book. So it really doesn't matter. It can really depend on your mood. If you're just reading for relaxation, if you feel like you want to disconnect from technology, I don't want any technological interference, probably physical book is your thing. But if you want to have the convenience of reading a book that relaxes you and you want to do it across any devices, Kindle could be a choice of, reading. So if you're reading for relaxing, it really doesn't matter. The second aspect, to widen your learning. Widen your learning, again, I would say personally for me, Kindle, because, the kind of physical books that I have on my shelf are books that I keep going back to, right? So if I want to widen my learning, it might be a very temporary interest that I have on a specific subject now. It could be for 2, 3, 4 months. Once I feel like, okay, I've got my feet wet in this subject, I might move on to reading about the next thing. So in these aspects, I would say Kindle could really help you because, you're not keeping books that you wouldn't keep going back to, right? And that way you save some space at your home as well. The third one, deep learning. For me, hands down, it's physical books for me. And the reason I say this because I keep underlining a lot of things, I take notes, and if I want to shoot videos, I go back to these books to see, hey, is there any lessons that I'm personally implementing that I can, speak to my subscribers about and stuff like that. So if you're into deep learning, currently, as I told, I'm trying to learn a lot about health and fitness. I'm reading about productivity and things like that. So I keep taking a lot of notes, and personally for me, physical books work on this aspect. And the last and the final one is reading for research and referencing, right? Hands down, Kindle works on this front because I do have a lot of books around marketing that I keep reading to, help me in my day job. And what do? I highlight on Kindle. I have this app called Readwise that syncs to my Notion so that I can access these notes anywhere. So I'm reading for research and to kind of substitute what I do in my professional job. So just to quickly go through, purpose of reading is to define why do you read, right? So personally for me, I read for 4 different reasons: relaxation, widening my learning, deep learning, and research and referencing, right? So if you're reading for relaxation, it really doesn't matter. For widening your learning, again, personally for me, I prefer Kindle on this aspect. Deep learning, I prefer physical books, and reference and research, again, Kindle. So I would say on the purpose of reading, I would say probably it's a draw match between Kindle and physical books. It really doesn't matter. And I would say it depends on the, your purpose of reading. Now we come to the third aspect, right? Functionality. So when it comes to functionality, obviously, there are a lot of things where Kindle outscores physical books, right? For example, you could just take the, highlights, it's seamless syncs across devices. You have this dictionary, you have these X-rays that help you go through, quickly browse through these highlights, right? But, personally for me, what I've done in the past 2-3 months is I've started taking active notes in my physical books as well. And I truly feel that there is something about sitting down and kind of writing, I tend to remember far more things because in Kindle, at times when you see that, hey, there are so many people who have highlighted, I also tend to highlight, but more often than not, I don't, kind of remember what I highlighted or why I highlighted certain things. Whereas compare that to a physical books, when I'm taking active notes, probably I'll do a separate video on that, on how I take notes on physical books. I tend to remember it more, right? So yes, functionality wise, Kindle far outscores physical books. But for me personally, have I kind of drawn a lot of value from these functionality aspects of Kindle? Probably not. Again, it's a very personal thing, right? So I prefer physical books for taking notes and writing down things that I learned and stuff like that. So we just covered 4 aspects, right? I told 3 at the start: aesthetics, buying, purpose, and functionality aspects. So I want to leave you with one parting thought, right? So it really doesn't matter. Trust me when I say this. I have, one thing I haven't explored is audiobooks, but trust me, it really doesn't matter on which platform you read, whether it's Kindle or physical books, as long as you're reading. It's like, when I started working out 3 or 4 years back, I used to think, hey, should I be doing strength training? Should I be doing Zumba? Should I be doing yoga and things like that? But, little over a year and a half into my journey, I realized that, hey, as long as I'm moving every day, that's fine. That's the same thing, parting thought I would leave you with, right? As long as you're reading every day, you have a reading habit, it really doesn't matter where you read and, what platform you choose to read on. So I'll leave you with that parting thought, and, do let me know on your framework or why you, love one platform over the other. There is always a beauty about, having a healthy debate and opening up each other's perspective, right? So do let me know in the comment section on what you think is a better platform. Until the next video, this is Praveen Ramesh signing off.